Ooh, that looks tasty.
Brilliant! You've arrived! By Jove, what an impressive group of prospective archaeologists! You've come just in time. Ancient antiquities and priceless treasures are being stolen at an alarming rate. They should be in a museum to be admired by all, not in a private collection of tycoons. It's preposterous! Your mission? Assemble collections of these antiquities. Just watch out for the notorious bounty hunter Tess Winter. If that grifter gets any of these priceless items before you, you'll never see them again. Good luck! Remember, the person with the most prestigious collection at the end will earn the coveted job at Brixton University. You'll be my personal assistant. Lucky you! Haha! Welcome, folks. Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review. And today we are talking about Antiquity Quest from Grandpa Bex. It plays 2 to 8 players and in about 30 to 45 minutes or so. Before I jump into this, if you are not particularly interested in how the game is played, then you're going to want to jump ahead to the timestamp that's on the screen right now. For those of us who are still here, let's just quickly run down how this game works. And it's actually very, very simple. And what I'm going to do is I have a setup here for a single player. This game cannot be played solo, but with just one hand, I will be able to show you how the game works. So what happens is each player is dealt 2 hands of 10 cards. And they leave one of these hands face down. This is their cash. And they're not going to even be able to look at these cards until after they have played all of their other hands. So I'm just going to set this to the side. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to take a look here at my hand, and we'll see I have cards of various colors, and they all have different antiquities on them, and you'll notice they all have different numbers at the top. And then I have these here. These are treasures. The treasures have no numbers at the top, and they are kind of wild cards, but I'll explain that in a minute. And so what you are doing on your turn is you are trying to create the most sets of 5 cards in your tableau. And there are a couple of different types of sets that you can create. And they're all here on this handy dandy card. But the best thing you can do is to get all 5 different types of treasures. That's worth 1,500. You get 1,000 if you have a set of 5 of one color, and then they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are wild cards in there. If you just have 5 of any treasure, that is worth 750 points. And if you have 5 of just one color, that is worth 500 points. And then if you have a set of 5 cards, that's a combination of treasures and the same color, that's worth 250 points. And the way a round works, as I said, is very simple. The first thing that you have to do is you have to draw cards. And you can either draw from the discard pile, if there is one, if you meet certain requirements, and I'll explain those in a little bit. But if you're not drawing from there, you draw 2 cards from the deck. And so I take my 2 here, and then I am able to play any number of cards that I want. And to play a card, you are trying to build your sets, as I already told you. To start a set, you have to put down at least 3 cards. You can put down 3, 4, or 5 cards. And so, for the sake of this demonstration, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with my yellow cards here, and I'm going to make a set. And so I'm going to place down 4 cards here. This is not a complete set, but it's almost complete. And you'll notice that I have 2 5s there. So if I get 1 more yellow card here, I'll earn 500 points for that set. Now I could play my treasure here, and that would complete the set, but it would make it worth only 250 points. So I'm not going to do that right now. Then I'm also going to put down these 3 orange cards to start another set. And again, this could be worth a maximum of 500 points if I get 2 more orange cards. And then comes the end of my turn, and I have to discard a card. So I will go ahead and just discard this green 1. And that's the end of my turn. Then the other player would get to go as well. And we would go back and forth. And what's important for me to point out right now is the other player could play a card into my set. They can sabotage what I'm doing. So if they had one of these treasures here, they could take it and put it here into my yellow set, and now it's only worth 250 points. They've sabotaged my set. Or let's say I had this out like this, I only had 3 cards in my set, but I have a 3, a 1, and a 5. I'm on the way to potentially a 5,000 point set. Well, maybe they just want to throw a 5 in there, and now the most I can get for that is 500 points. And you get the idea of how that works. Now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit and put some cards out that represents several rounds played, and I want to show you how the collecting of the discard pile works. And so let's just say that later on in the game, and again, I haven't changed anything down here, but that's okay. That doesn't really matter for the purpose of what I'm doing here. Let's say that's come to my turn, and I see there's this blue wild card there. And I want that card, so I do have the option to pick up the entire discard pile into my hand. All I have to do is show that I have at least 2 other blue cards, meaning I'm going to make a set with that card, and I can take that, put those down, and I can collect all of these cards here. And now suddenly I can take that, and then this blue card, and this blue card, and suddenly I have right here a set of 1, 4, 5, 3, 2. And that is a 1,000 point set. Now all these other cards here will go into my hand also, but I can put them down right away. I have these 4 purples, I can put those down, and then I'm just stuck with these other here, and maybe I want to take my treasure here and just finish that purple set off, and that's worth 250 now, and then I would discard a card at the end of my turn, and I'm left with only 1. That's how the picking up of the cards work. Pretty simple as far as that goes. Now, the next thing that I need to show you is how you get to your cache here. And so, for sake of argument, let's just say that after picking up all those discard cards, these are the 2 I had left over after playing the purples and my treasure and all the blues. So I could play this card here and then discard that one, because you have to discard at the end of your turn. And while the other player's going, I get to pick up my other set of 10 cards. And now I get to look at them and see what it is that I have. And the important thing to note about this picking up the second set of cards is as soon as somebody goes out, meaning they've gotten rid of the last card of their cache, the game ends. And the first person to go out, they immediately get 500 points as a bonus. Additionally, everybody who's left in the game, they take minuses for every card left in their hand or in their cache that they haven't gotten to it yet. Every color card's worth minus 25, and every treasure is worth minus 50. Now, there are also 2 other types of cards in the game that I haven't shown you yet, and that is the test card. The test card is only used as something you discard. When you discard it, what it does is it takes all of the cards in the discard pile and removes them from the game. And a test is worth minus 100 points if it's in your hand at the end. Then there is the Remington card. And the Remington card, when you play it, you put it next to your sets, you immediately draw 3 cards, and at the end of the game, it's worth 100 points. And again, it's also worth minus 100 points if it's in your hand at the end of the game. And so that's it. That's how this game works. I will say that there are some advanced rules, and in the advanced rules, you get bonus points at the end of the game for every complete set of each different society you have, i.e. each different color there's bonus points. And there are secondary powers on these cards. The Remington will then allow you to switch one of your complete sets with someone else's complete set, so you can change your society colors. And the test cards allow you to, in addition to discarding all of that, they allow you to have test steal an incomplete set from an opponent, and that goes out of the game with her. And then finally, I should say, there's also a team mode, which allows you to play up to 8 players. The solo, the version where everyone just plays their own hand, that only goes up to 6 players. And then in the full version of the game, what you're going to do is you're going to actually play through three whole rounds and do a running tally. And if you want to just play a quicker game, you can just play 1 round. And so that's it. That's the entire game. It's actually fairly simple, fairly quick. So what do I like about this game? First thing is I really like how easy it is to learn and teach this game. The first person I played this with was my mother, who for the most part plays games when I'm around and plays games when she's around one of my brothers, but doesn't play them on her own and certainly doesn't read rules. And often the first few times we play, she has a lot a lot of questions. Well, she didn't have many questions in this game because it was fairly straightforward, and by the second game that we played, she was starting to grasp the idea and starting to figure out strategies. So I really like that. I like that I can play up to 8 players. I really like all the variants that they have. I think the advanced variants are not really that much more complicated, but it's just enough change to keep the game particularly interesting. I myself am not a huge fan of team card games, but a lot of people are, and I think the team variant is well done. It's just not my favorite. I will also say that I do think they have done a good job of taking what are, to me, drier mechanics of set collection and hand management, and they've made it interesting. And they've done that, I think, through the ability to sabotage the other players, and then through the way these 2 cards work. They're so simple, but between this and the way the treasures work, it's just enough to keep you always thinking. It's just enough to make you want to kind of push your luck a little bit. Maybe you're going to take that whole stack of discarded cards to try to get something big, but of course, if someone goes out, you're going to get hit with a huge, huge minus. And I also really like that, yes, you can attack someone else's set. I can take a treasure, throw it on this, and suddenly this is only worth 250. But it's still worth something. The only way that you can actually obliterate someone's work is in the advanced mode playing one of these cards. And there's not that many of these cards in the deck. The next thing that I really like is I really like this idea of the cache. The second set of 10 cards, I really like it because it makes the game a little more of an unknown because you're not allowed to look. So you have to play almost a complete game with your first hand and get something out there before you pick up the next one because you just have no idea what's going to be under them. And I think that's exciting. And what I think is more exciting is when you play that second hand, suddenly it's a new game because people know that now, in theory, you could go out at any turn, and if you go out, they're in trouble. You get 500 points bonus, which is not huge in this game, but all those negatives that they might get could wind up being a lot. And suddenly the whole vibe of the game changes. It goes faster, it's quicker. Whereas the first hand, you're trying to build up something. A lot of times people are putting down entire sets at once. 1, so they can't be sabotaged, but 2, because there is no time rush. But in that second hand, if I got 3 cards and I'm worried you are down to 5 cards, I'm going to take those cards, I'm going to put them down to get them out of my hand. And if I wind up having just another treasure on there and then that, and it's only worth 250, that is way better than having it be minus 75 or minus 100, depending on what it is. So all of that I really do like. I think the game is a very fun set collection game, very simple. Let's move on to my few quibbles about the game. And I don't really have that many because I think this is, as far as set collection games go, is very good. My quibbles are, 1, the game is not fast. If you play just a single round, 2-player, it is pretty quick. But the game is intended to be played over a couple of rounds. And it just takes longer than you would think it does. And that might just be a me thing. But I find that you think, oh, I have 10 cards, I'm going to get 10 cards out, but it doesn't go that fast because you wind up drawing a lot of cards. And if you pick up that discard pile, you have a whole bunch more cards. And so the game can go long. I'm not going to say drag on because it doesn't feel like it's going long, but it can go longer than you would think it would, especially if you're going to play a full 3 rounds. The next thing that I'll say is it can be a little bit challenging to do the scoring. It's just simple addition, but when you're glancing at these sets here, unless they have a treasure in there, if there's no treasure in there, you actually have to stop, go back, and check. Is this a 500-point set? Is this a 1,000-point set? With the treasure sets, it's a little bit easier because there's brightly colored gems there. It's easy to see if you have duplicates, but it just takes a little longer. And I kind of wish there was a little playmat I could print out where I could just easily kind of store each different set I completed or something like that. And you have this here. It's not quite lined up perfectly to be really easy to do your addition here because you have the kind of the running totals going there and there. But that's just a tiny little quibble, and I guess most people are using their calculators anyway, and they're not using the paper. The only other thing that I'm going to point out is the box. The way the box is made here, it easily stores everything. Everything fits very easily. But unfortunately, because of the way these are kind of a little bit floppy here, and you see there's a little bit of space here, even when you have the rule manual on top and whatnot, it just doesn't allow you to store the game like this. Because when you store the game like this, the cards kind of spread out and go all over the place. Now, you're using all of the cards and you're shuffling all the cards anyway, so does it really matter? Probably not. But again, it's just a slight quibble. There you have it, folks. I think this is a game, if you like set collection games, then you absolutely need to check this one out. I think the theme is not heavy on the game, but it's enough on there with this idea that you're grabbing these antiquities and you're bringing them in and you're collecting them, that there's enough of the theme that it does feel like more of a thematic experience than playing something like spades or hearts or something like that. So I think if you like set collection games, then this is a really fun, good option. I think, again, as I mentioned before, for me, set collection, that's not exciting to me, but I do enjoy this. And what I also want to finish this with is, I played this with my mother, as I mentioned. She was out visiting, and the day after we played a few games, we were having lunch, and I just asked her if there's anything else that she wanted to do while she was here. And the only thing she said was she wanted to play another game of Antiquity Quest. And so I think that is about as good of an endorsement as you can get. So there you have it, folks. That is Antiquity Quest from Grandpa Bex. If I made any mistakes and you're familiar with this game, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp so I can get those into the Klingon subtitles. And if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share. I have plenty more coming. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.